Life has a way of testing us. Sometimes, it feels like the world throws every obstacle in our path, daring us to give up. But history, experience, and countless untold stories remind us of one timeless truth. Success belongs to those who refuse to quit. Today, I want to take you on a journey filled with real-life examples, inspiring stories, and deep reflections, so you can see for yourself the unstoppable power of never giving up. The nature of struggle. Imagine climbing a mountain. The higher you go, the thinner the air becomes, the more your body aches, and the more your mind tells you to turn back. But at the very top is the view, a view so breathtaking. It makes every step worth it. Life is that mountain. The struggle is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you're climbing. And yet, most people give up just before reaching the peak. But those who don't quit, those who take one more step, even when their legs tremble, they are the ones who experience the beauty of success. Thomas Edison's light. Let's start with a man who lit up the entire world, Thomas Edison. Before he invented the electric bulb, Edison failed not once, not 10 times, but over 1,000 times. People laughed at him, mocked him, and even called him foolish. One reporter once asked, "Mr. Edison, how does it feel to fail 1,000 times?" Edison calmly replied, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." Think about that for a moment. What if Edison had given up at attempt number 999? We would still be living in darkness. His story teaches us that every failure is not the end, but simply a step forward if we refuse to give up. The story of Colonel Sanders. Now, let me tell you about a man who became successful at an age when most people think their life is over. Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of KFC, didn't become successful in his 20s, 30s, or even 50s. In fact, at the age of 65, broke and desperate, he had only a Social Security check of $105. But he had one thing left, his fried chicken recipe. He knocked on 1,009 doors trying to sell it. And guess what? He was rejected 1,009 times. But on the 1,010th attempt, someone finally said yes. And that yes created KFC, one of the biggest food chains in the world today. If Colonel Sanders had given up at 1,009, he would have been just another forgotten man. But his persistence turned him into a legend. The bamboo tree lesson. In China, there's a fascinating story about the Chinese bamboo tree. When you plant the seed, nothing happens for the first year. Nothing happens for the second year. The third year, still nothing. The fourth year, again nothing. Imagine the frustration. You water it, you nurture it, you wait patiently. And for 4 years, there is no sign of growth. But in the fifth year, something extraordinary happens. The bamboo suddenly grows 80 feet tall in just 6 weeks. So, here's the question. Did it grow 80 feet in 6 weeks, or did it grow 80 feet in 5 years? The truth is, it was growing the whole time, underground, building strong roots to support its massive growth. Life works the same way. Your efforts may not show results immediately, but if you keep going, one day, your growth will surprise not just the world, but also yourself. J.K. Rowling's rejection. Everyone knows the Harry Potter books today, but very few know the story behind them. J.K. Rowling was a single mother, struggling with poverty, depression, and rejection. When she wrote the first Harry Potter book, she sent it to publishers. Do you know what happened? She was rejected 12 times. One publisher even told her, "Children's books don't sell." But Rowling didn't give up. On her 13th attempt, someone finally accepted her manuscript. And today, Harry Potter has sold over 500 million copies worldwide, inspiring generations of children and adults alike. Imagine if she had stopped at rejection number 12. The world would have never known Harry Potter, and she would have never discovered her destiny. Your personal struggles. Now, let's talk about you. Think about the times you wanted to give up. Maybe it was in school, when exams felt too hard. Maybe it was in your career, when every effort seemed to fail. Maybe it was in relationships, when pain seemed too heavy to carry. But here's the truth. Every great achievement starts with struggle. And every struggle is simply preparing you for your breakthrough. Never giving up doesn't mean you'll never feel tired. It doesn't mean you'll never cry or doubt yourself. It simply means you'll keep moving forward anyway. Michael Jordan's missed shots. One of the greatest basketball players of all time, Michael Jordan, once said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Jordan didn't see failure as a reason to quit. He saw it as fuel to become better. That's the mindset of champions. They are not people who never fall. They are people who always get back up. A story of the stonecutter. There's an old story about a stonecutter. He kept striking a rock with his hammer. 1 strike, 2 strikes, 10 strikes, 50 strikes, still nothing. People laughed at him, but he kept going. Finally, on the 100th strike, the rock split into 2, but it wasn't the 100th strike alone that broke it. It was the accumulation of all the strikes before. This is life. Every effort you put in counts. Even when you can't see progress, something is building inside. Success doesn't come from one big push. It comes from never giving up, turning pain into power. Here's the most important lesson. Sometimes life will push you so hard, you'll feel broken. But those moments are not your end, they are your rebirth. Pain has a purpose. It teaches you strength. It builds your character. It shapes your destiny. Winston Churchill once said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." And that is the essence of never giving up. Your story awaits. Now, imagine your own life 5 years from now. If you give up today, where will you be? Probably the same place, or worse. But if you keep going, if you keep trying, if you keep fighting, you could be living the life you've always dreamed of. Remember, every legend you admire, every hero you look up to, every success story you celebrate, at some point, they all had a reason to quit. But they chose not to. And that's what made the difference. So, the next time you feel like giving up, remember Edison's light bulb. Remember Colonel Sanders knocking on 1,009 doors. Remember the bamboo tree growing underground. Remember J.K. Rowling's rejections. Remember Jordan's missed shots. Remember the stonecutter's hammer. And most importantly, remember this. The greatest power you hold is the power to keep going. Because the power of never giving up is the power that changes everything.